Sawubona mbukeli sikwamukele kuhlelo lwethu lanamuhla ilungelo lakho. It's your right, your leading consumer affairs TV show, and this is kuwena bukhoma la kumamba phambili SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Siyasakaza futhi mbukeli lapha ku SABC Plus. If when you smart enough and you went and downloaded the app, uhleli nomajali umangcolosi mbukeli, thank you so much for joining us. Manje namhlanje mbukeli sithi uma sithi khona ubugebengu phela obuyingozi nobungasifica phela singalindele ingozi yama job scams lesuke sikhuluma ngayo noma imisebenzi imbumbulu esihlangana nayo kwizindawo nezindawo, ngisho kakhulu la ku social media platforms. Yebo niyakwazi lokho bakithi, kodwa ke namhlanje sifuna ukuthi sinazise ukuthi ukubona kanjani ukuthi phela usuzithola uphakathi nendawo mayelana nale job scam. Asihlale shiqe odabeni lethu namhlanje. Izivakashi zethu mbukeli zikhona la e-studio phela ukuzokhuluma nathi kabanzi ngokuthi ububona kanjani phela lobungozi bama job scams noma imisebenzi mbumbulo. For that discussion, let's welcome Mr. Chad Thomas obuya IRS Forensic Investigations. Sibe naye no Nazia Karrim, who's going to join us after the break. Uyena ke umele i-Southern African Fraud Prevention Services la e-studio ke sinaye futhi uBut Martin Ratshivhanda, yena ke umele umnyango wezemisebenzi phecelezi i-Labor Department. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right, Martin, let's start with you. Awusichazele baba ukuthi lama scams laba mesikhuluma ngama job scams, especially on online platforms, ama department afana nani o labor niyawa advertiser yini ama post online?
Ama posts yawa advertiser online. It's a generic thing in government. That posts are advertised online. You find it even in the PSA. Now, but Tina, in particular, as a Department of Employment and Labour, sine system ebizwa Employment Services System of South Africa, ESSA in brief. This is an online system where work seekers can come and register as work seekers.
Okay.
My employers now can come and register the opportunities.
Okay.
And this is for free. What the system does is that the system iyakwazi ukumatcha the profile of a job seeker with the profile of an opportunity. It also does the shortlisting to get the candidates or the work seekers whose profiles match as close as possible to the requirements of the job. And we then make those CVs available to the employer. And I'm saying that's for free. So maybe we can use this opportunity to market the service, to say to our work seekers out there that instead of continuing to fall victims to lama scams, where you are even expected to pay, here is a service that government has created for you, which is for free.
And how safe is it, Babu Martin?
It's very, very safe. It has never been scammed by anyone.
Okay.
It's a very safe system. It's also of benefit to the employers. Because if you ask yourself, how much does it cost to advertise a post, be it on the media, newspapers?
It's quite expensive.
And how long does it take to do the recruitment? Now, we do that for employers for free.
Okay, all right, very interesting. So, Chad, maybe Babu Martin, Chad, I want to understand firstly, for the benefit of our viewers, what the role of the IRS Forensic Investigations as well as SAFPS is, particularly in line with, job scams.
So IRS Forensic Investigations investigates complex financial crime, but as part of our CSI, we try to educate the public using social media platforms as well as mainstream media such as today's show to educate the public about prolific scams that could target them.
All right, but Martin, ubusangitshela la ukuthi ilokhuzana yenu isafe and ayikaze ihackwe, kodwa understand ukuthi nake naba ama victims where ama systems wenu got hacked. So maybe just take us through background ukuthi what happened there, and then how have you actually turned that situation around and remedied it?
Yeah, no, the it did not necessarily hack our systems. We learned through the social media of a scam where people were being promised jobs, the admin jobs, and they were made to pay amounts of 250, refundable 250 sums of money at PEP with a promise that they will get money. And they were using the name of the department as if it's the department that is running that recruitment. Now, as I said, the Department of Employment and Labour only recruits through the system that I spoke about, the Employment Service System of South Africa, ESA. We don't do like this scam. It was alleging that we would go out and say to people, come one, all, pay these sums of money and you are guaranteed of a job. We don't do that.
Okay.
Our systems are online, very safe, and they are meant to ensure that our unemployed youth get easy entry into the labor market, both in terms of our Employment Services Act and also to give effect to Section 9 of the Constitution, which guarantees free access, equity of access for work seekers to the labor market.
Okay, and these work seekers as well as advertisers or companies, Martin, is it across board or is it just government jobs or it also includes from the private sector?
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
All persons with opportunities, whether it's government or the private sector,
they are able
to bring their opportunities. In fact, we can even share with you, it's a pity I didn't know you would require that information. We can indicate to the nation how many employers we have from the private sector. We have assisted through this system to recruit very professional and highly suitable candidates for free.
Very interesting indeed. So maybe, Chad, then talk to us about the sophistication of these scammers. I mean, how does one even begin to identify that they're being scammed? Because as Martin is saying, how they found out that there was a social media drive that was saying that the jobs are being paid for, they actually thought, I mean, everybody thought this was actually from the department because they use the exact same logo, everything. So it looks very sophisticated and real.
So scammers are diverse in the manner in which they set out to defraud and scam people. What's particularly horrendous and despicable about this is that they are targeting the most vulnerable, the most needy, people who are desperately looking for employment. And that's how they hook them. They find their details generally on social media. They'll start a conversation with them on social media. They'll switch across to communication channels such as WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, and they will start to hook the person. They'll explain to the person what the job would entail, what they would need from them. In some instances, what we're seeing as a growing trend is that people actually think that they're being employed to work from home using their device, be it their mobile phone, be it a laptop, and that all they have to do is click on certain links during the course of the day for which they'll be rewarded. Ultimately, they build up what they believe is this huge credit of money that's owed to them, and they're then told that they have to pay X amount of money to the scammers to release the money that they purportedly earned. That's one of the most prolific scams at the moment. And then there's other scams. Every time you'll see recruitment for the police or the South African National Defence Force, you'll see a scam where people purport to represent either the South African Police Services or the South African National Defence Force, and they start asking for registration fees. The minute you start being asked for registration fees, there's a problem. Another scam that's doing the rounds, that's exceptionally prolific, is to employ people in the labour environment, but people have to pay upfront for their safety boots, for their overalls, for their reflective vests. And all of these are scams. You'll never be asked to pay money upfront if you are going to be employed in a legitimate environment.
Very interesting indeed. And Chad, just on the back of that, I mean, a lot of people put a lot of private and as well as personal information on social media. Please talk to us about the dangers of that.
Well, look, we have the POPI Act that was introduced to protect us as consumers.
And seemingly?
Well, the information regulator is there to manage the control and the flow of information both in and out. But a lot of the times people share too much. They put their entire life on social media and they make it very easy for these targeted scammers to go after them. And like I said, they will initially target them with similar interests from a similar community. They'll move the conversation from social media across to communication channels, but all the while they are grooming their victims. And they don't mind how long it takes because they've got literally thousands of people that they are grooming. And they don't mind whether it takes a day, a week, a month, sometimes even a year to get money out of their victims.
Wow, very interesting indeed. Mbukeli siyaxwayiswa ke lapho ukuthi ningabeki phela yonke information yakho uthi bhala la ku social media ufake ngisho i-ID number yakho ne-address. Niyaxwayisa ukuthi ningakwenzi lokho. Let's take a quick ad break. After that I'll be opening the lines. Sikhuluma ngama job scams Mbukeli uma wena mhlambe uke waba i-victim sicela usifonele. We'll be back shortly after this. Welcome back. This is Yilungelo Lakho live on SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Sengizivulile ke manje ingciko Mbukeli 0117140671 alternatively 7140672 consumer@sabc.co.za. Alternatively talk to us on WhatsApp 0608449857 or usithinte ku Facebook na ku X Mbukeli. Namhlanje sikhuluma ngama job scams. If wena uke wathola nje i-advert yokuthi uzosebenza endaweni ethize lapha ku social media uyithole sekuthiwa khokha imali up front njengoba bechaza ubudget ukuthi cha lokho ke kusuke kuyi job scam because ayikho inkampani ezothi before i-recruiter ithi bhatala u250 for information. Let's go to the callers. We have Uyan all the way from Davidson. Pudian, a very good afternoon to you. Sakwamukela nsizwa ohlelweni. Singakusiza kanjani namhlanje? Ngiyaphila baba njani?
Mina ngizofuna kodwa ngakho usikenya nje kodwa umuntu wasikenya ngenxa yami ukuthi bengingazi nami.
Okay. Osichazele kwenzakaleni?
Social media ngibona abantu baposta umsebenzi wamasipala eSpring. So lapho ngithola usister wami ukuthi kune job kanje kanje ngamnika ama-phone number. Ngamnika phone number yena wafonela lo muntu wasuka washona khona eSprings. Bathi eSprings adibana thina kwamasipala.
Yeah.
Lo muntu kumele umnike uthengele i-airtime eNzansi.
Yeah.
Wayithenga ke. Lo muntu osiyafona kufonela omunye umuntu. Ukuthi nangu umuntu uyafuna umsebenzi. Sebayakhuluma be-2. Babaqeda wathi okay lo muntu uthi umnikeze i-500. Uzithola umsebenzi ngoba u-agent nofuna abantu abaningi nokuyiwa. Wakhipha i-500 wanika lo muntu. Wamnika i-fake card lase kwamasipala ukuthi ayongena ngale kuseni emsebenzini.
Yeah.
Ayifika kwamasipala bade bamazi lesisi.
Hayibo.
Ayikho futhi ijob enjalo. Wasikenya kanjalo kusisi wami.
How okay insizwa siyabonga kakhulu ke ukuthi usithinte namhlanje if ungakahambi babuyani wawibonephi wena le lokhuzana le post lomsebenzi
Angikuzwa kahle
ngithi wawibonephi wayithola ku social media or wezwa ngabantu ukuthi kuthiwa kunemsebenzi ekhona
social media bathi umsebenzi wamasipala eSprings.
Oh okay all right siyabonga babuyani lalela lapho kumabona kude wakho siza ukuthi singakusiza yini. I do have Mr. Chad Thomas of IRS alongside Mr. Martin Ratshivhanda uvela lapha e-Labor Department. Martin, uyasiza story ukuthi this guy basically he got word that there was jobs available. He shared the information with his sister Chad. The sister went and contacted the people on the information list, and she was asked to pay 500 rand and even told the office that she was supposed to go to, which is a municipal office. And when she got there, obviously the job was non-existent. So we're trying to understand what are the preventative measures, Babu Martin, and how do we help abantu abafana no Lokuzana no Pudian who get information and also pass it on?
Yeah, the law irrelevant in this case is what we refer to as the Employment Services Act. Now, Section 15 of that Act says, subsection 1, no person may charge a work seeker for employment services provided to that work seeker. Meaning, ukuthi akekho umuntu okumele akhokhe imali for ukuthi atholele umsebenzi.
Okay.
So, in this case, what this gentleman should not have done, and this is something that all of us out there as work seekers should not do. Singakhokhi imali for umsebenzi. Because the fundamental objective of these scammers is to extort money from the work seekers. So each time you hear that there is money that needs to be paid, just there, that's a red flag. So stop there and go to the nearest office of the Department of Labor. One, to report this case, and if it's an employment agency or perhaps an organization masquerading as a private employment agency, take the name of that agent to us as a department. We have a database of all the registered private employment agencies.
Okay.
If that agency is on our database, we'll take it up with them. There are consequences that we can mete out to that agency.
Talk to us about those consequences. I wanted to find out, I mean, are you even able to trace and even prosecute these scammers?
By all means.
Yeah.
One of the registration requirements, by law, all these agencies must register with us and get a certificate of registration. Now, one of the requirements in terms of the FICA Act, they must give us an address where they will be operating from. We also need copies of all the IDs of the directors and so on and so forth. And we do a prior inspection. Before we can give them a certificate, our inspectors go on site to go and verify what ngempela are these people operating in this business.
Okay, but how do I rectify or verify if these people are actually legitimate when I'm seeing a job ad online, Babu Martin?
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying, that if it's a private employment agency, when they say to you, pay so much amount of money for placement, just drag your feet, run to our offices, give us the name of the agency. Tina will verify from our database if indeed it's a legitimate agency.
Okay.
By all means, such occurrences are done by scammers who are not even registered. They're merely masquerading as agencies. So we'll be able to warn this person that please don't. Besides, don't do such kind of transactions or interaction with an unregistered agency, because there are a number of things. Other than extortion of money, there's also a risk of human trafficking in this thing.
And so, Chad will talk to us about that as well.
So we must be very, very careful.
Yes. Chad, I mean, what are the likely avenues for any recourse for this person who's now paid 500 rand, has even been given the address of the municipal office that they're supposed to go start work, and yet you get there and they're like, well, we didn't even advertise for that post?
They're going to have to try open a case with the South African Police Services, which is going to be inherently difficult. These scams are a dime a dozen. At any given time, thousands of people are being scammed. Generally, they send send via cell phones. If they do pay into a bank account, it's normally a money mule account, meaning that the account doesn't belong to the perpetrators. And to be very honest, our South African Police Services isn't geared towards investigating the sheer number of these scams.
Very interesting indeed. Let's go back to our callers. Sistelma Ekagiso, siyakwamukela mawuhlelweni, singakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Thelma? Please turn down your TV set, Thelma, so that I can hear you.
Hi, Linda.
Riteng mama, wena okay?
Hey, Mama.
Hey,
what
Mama.
I want to talk about is about the when doing applications.
Hey, mama.
Yes. So my plea was that if we apply, can please those people take out the column where there is written ID number and the addresses, because the problem of writing the ID number is very crucial, because those people who are scamming, they take the ID numbers and do the fraud with those ID numbers. Most of the people are being robbed due to this ID number, is what I'm asking.
Okay, Mama Raleboga Osthelma, thank you so much, with just a suggestion there for employers as well as recruiters to actually maybe not include the request for an ID number, because these scammers will take that ID number and run with it. We're about to take a ad break. Very quickly, Martin, I'm going to let you go at the end of this ad break. Baba, where can people reach you to actually come and report such matters Is there a toll-free number, social media, of course, what you call it, do you have social media accounts and so forth where they can reach you?
Yeah, the easiest thing to do from our side is we always advise work seekers to go to the nearest office so that there's that person-to-person contact.
Okay.
They can go to any office of the Department of Employment and Labor. There are officials that are specifically trained to handle matters such as this.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. No, thank you so much. That is Mr. Martin Ratshivhanda there. He is from the Labor Department. We're going to bid farewell to him, and after the break, we welcome Ms. Nazia Karrim. I know she's been waiting to also just contribute to this conversation. Babu Martin, we'll see you shortly after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Yilungelo, Lakho. Namhlanje sikhuluma ngama-job scans, particularly siwathola kuma-online adverts lapho kuthiwa naba abantu ba-recruiter noma umasipala or amaphoyisa uyithole wena sekuthiwa khokha imali engaka before sizokufaka kwi-waiting list or sikuphushe uye phezulu kwi-waiting list nje banitshela many reasons ukuthi baniconvince ukuthi nikhiphe lezo zimali. Uthi-ke wena usuyobeka umconjwana wakho lapha e-office usuthi uyongena emsebenzini ufike lapha kuthiwe awukho ngisho ukuba khona lo msebenzi okhuluma ngawo. Ingcingo zami bukele ivuliwe 0117140671, alternatively 0117140672. Ungasithumela iWhatsApp 0608449857 or email us or tweet us or X us or send us a message on Facebook. We are now joined by Ms. Nazia Karrim from the Fraud Prevention Unit. Thank you so much, Nazia. Thank you so much for joining us. Talk to us a bit about what it is that you guys do at Fraud Prevention.
All right, so the Southern African Fraud Prevention Service is a non-profit organization where many of the members in the economy, so we have members across all sectors of the economy, share their actual fraud data. Okay. And we use this fraud data to actually prevent future incidents from taking place. This collaboration is helping us prevent further consumers being manipulated and also abused, for example, in an identity theft situation. And we use this information to help also collect some intelligence that we use to support law enforcement in some of their investigations.
Well done. That sounds like a great avenue mbukeli for ukuthi wena ke uhambe uyokhalaza khona mawuyithola phela uba i-victim yama-job scams. Donald Hammanskraal, siyabonga baba ukuthi uhlale on the line. Sakwamukela ohlelweni, singakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
Hello, the guy.
Reteng papa wena okay?
Reteng ya ke bona le bona ka job scan ne ke dile party ya teng ke le mo ke be am ke bona nna go mo Facebook I guess.
Website papa?
Then ke phonela the guy ke bona di telephone number, there is no email address mo ke di only contact tsa bona go be re telephone number.
Okay.
Then ka di phone ya la ke go confirm ke ne ke nna go tsena. The guy who I'm around Monari, yes, medical team, co company, co Rosli.
Okay.
I guess we're going to la company and
Oscar Botsa lebitso la company papa mara o kana re botsa gore website after o ba phone it.
Nan ke tsa medical company ba ke DHL.
Okay.
Then character okay fine ki arke tha romela di form tsa ro di kaje o kono tsa medical by Monday. Then again di form tsa ba ro se go tlonya ke a call the link.
Awa. Are cold drink ke bugai?
Bugai are no banya ka 1.5.
1.5 for cold drink ela.
Anyata 1.5. So the guy di form di rume sikri woni Ekir dan mungkin yang kita ko kita ko no baca tu ekir kawara no sama ko pick and pay o di bot tacha to ma account ke war ke than bank.
Okay. So u file account number o mo no to rumela 1.5 ela ya cold drink.
Yeah.
U file account number ya mona no go tshwanetse o rumele 1.5 ela ya cold drink.
Na sendeki on sendela yona ro tlo sendela ke le monla ke le mo tio on sendela code ye go ebele di tsawa ke kono di bota tšhelete ka yona are sama go pick and pay with the line.
Okay, and then what happened when you paid the 1.5 pap?
asike patele 1.5 azange ka ipatala ke morene ka re la mafelo ke le ke mo line 50 ya ile ka re kono deposit charge o ka ba ya ka tla go wena for clean ke ka o patala ke mo letso.
Okay, and then what's I saying after that, Pap?
No, kata emela system e boro o nyake o ye go boxa o dia o deposit charge.
Oh, okay. So, Mafelelong, did you find the job? Did you get the job? What's I saying, Pap?
Azanga ka tla job le ya no ke tsale mo hae. So, wa ba lo go be the same mo na mo be ke tsona jeo.
Okay. Okay,
Pap. Na mo para na go company ye distributor ma ya la e contract mo bulu ya ba ke fitele.
So, how sapatele mbereko au pray orders?
Asike patele le mmereko a go kere so wa go be ke na nya ka 3.5.
3.5. Yo. Okay, Donald, thank you so much for calling us. Let me just quickly brief you there, Chad and Nazia. Donald says he got 2 job offers. One, they asked for 1.5. The other one said 3.5. And he luckily did not pay for those. And obviously, he did not get the job. So, Nazia, we were talking about the sophistication levels of these scammers. And Chad was just saying earlier that they basically groom you even for up to a year. Talk to us about how that grooming actually happens.
So one of the main points about it is they actually target particular victims in particular scenarios. So if you are sharing all that information about your life, where you're working, how you're qualifying, what you're doing, you're literally creating an online profile. You're making yourself a shopping list.
Okay.
So the scammer looks at this and goes, hey, those are all the qualities and features that I'm looking at. This person might actually be somebody that is lucrative enough for me to scam out this money. And in that fashion, they actually choose a particular target. What they also do is they look at the type of job you'll be interested in. The most targeted jobs are the ones inside of hospitality, especially in the IT environment. When you've got some experience and you're looking for work overseas,
okay,
they offer jobs to you in US dollars.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, wow, I'm getting paid in rands. I could pay 10 times
we
more
saw
for
the
this.
story last year of the individual who went overseas to, squabble up cash to actually fly overseas, and he was actually stranded overseas because the job wasn't available.
Correct, and that's exactly how it is. You either pay for that job or you're human trafficked. Once you get to that point, they realize they put you into what we call a warehouse, a scam warehouse, and a farm. They farm all the different scams that you're seeing today. They force these particular people that they've recruited to work and then send out more scams to scam the next person and the next target.
Chad, talk to us about the whole human trafficking aspect of this, because I don't think people realize the dangers associated with that. I mean, one can say, you know what, I lost 1.5 thousand rand, but imagine if you are trafficked to another country where you have no means of coming back, and then you have literally no access to your family back home or anything for that matter.
It's absolutely frightening. We don't just have trafficking on an international scale, we even have it in South Africa, where people are drawn from rural areas with the promise of employment into the urban areas. There, they don't know anybody, they have no familial contacts, their identity documents are taken away from them, and they are then either used in the sex trade, or they are used to perpetrate scams on others. They get put into an environment which we call a boiler room, and their job is to find other scammers. And their only way out is a promise that if they are able to make X amounts of money for the masterminds behind these scams, then perhaps they'll get their freedom.
And we're going to talk about ransoms and the kidnappings that have literally been on the rise, and we understand that people are actually disappearing because they are being kidnapped and taken to work somewhere in conditions that they did not even intend to. We're going to take another quick commercial break. Sisakhuluma ngama job scams. If you are a victim, if you know someone who's been a victim, call us, tweet us, whatever. Siyabuya khona manje emva kwaleli khefu ngayindawo. vele sikhuluma ngama-job scams wena ohlangana nawo mhlawumbe kumalokhuzane kuma-social media platforms like kuthiwa khokha up front sizokuyisa on top of the waiting list or sizokushortlista or even sizokufaka lapho e-office umzwile ubhudiyani uthi bathe bafuna imali ye-cold drink-ke there's many ways that they term amalokhuzana uma sebefuna ukuthi bakuthathele imali. Our studio lines are open 011-714-0671 alternatively 714-0672. Alternatively, send us an email to consumer@sabc.co.za. I'm with Mr. Chad Thomas alongside Nazia Karrim. So, Nazia, maybe talk to us about, I mean, we were just talking about it off air, that we don't see a lot of awareness campaigns that are there. And even if they're there, people still, the human nature, as you referred to, people still want to take that risk and say, this might just pay off. So how do we deal with that? Because we can't control what everybody's going through at the time. It's hard economic times. Somebody might just feel that, you know what, this is just a chance that is too good to, to let go.
Well, that was one of the biggest campaign efforts we made last year when we launched YIMA, which was dedicated to scams prevention. And that was all about creating awareness and helping the community understand that, listen, this is not something you see on TV, it's not something you're hearing about, it's actually real.
Yeah.
It's going to impact you. This is what's happening, this is how it's happening. And we've given you a toolbox online with all the various tools you can use to actually check if you are falling into these circumstances. Also what to do after you've become a victim. But the thing you also need to remember is that, yes, human nature plays a very big role. We can communicate the message. We can create the awareness. At the end of the day, if you still want to go and press on that link, we can't stop you. You need to make a logical decision. I think things like materialistic behavior, things like greed actually plays a very big role as well. When you have something and you want some more, when you want to be better than somebody else, those actually play a big role. And then desperation is a very big factor. The hope that if I just try, if I just give it the chance, maybe this is actually something that will pan out. Unfortunately, that's what's actually resulting in us falling victim.
And people are desperate, I suppose, Chad. I mean, looking at the current economic status. So maybe talk to us about when is open season then for scammers, particularly in South Africa.
All the time. And
so
it's
we need to be vigilant all the time.
It's all the time, and it's everything. And it's not just South Africa. There's a worldwide deluge of frauds. I call it the scamopocalypse. There are just scams wherever you look. If you look at the United Kingdom, 40% of all reported crime in 2022, and this is the United Kingdom, was fraud-related. South Africa, it's far higher than that, but so much of it goes unreported because people don't believe that they're going to have any success in an investigation. And to a large extent, they're right. The police are inundated with frauds and scams, but people must report it. Their first line of defense is the police to try to prevent these scams from spreading and prevent other people from falling prey to it. What people don't seem to understand, however, is that scams have become such a huge revenue source for organized crime syndicates around the world that they are just continuing and they are perfecting their scams. We're seeing the same manifestation of scams that we saw 5, 6, 10 years ago, just under a different guise. And they're just continuing and they're getting more frequent. I don't think there's anybody watching your show right now that hasn't received some or other offer of something or another that turns out to be a scam. Whether it's investing in Forex, crypto, a job scam, they're a dime a dozen.
Talk to us about the kidnappings that were reportedly on the rise, particularly from last year, Chad. I mean, we saw a lot of people were getting kidnapped, some for ransom, but are you finding cases in terms of your forensic investigations that are related to human trafficking?
There are a lot of human trafficking cases, but sadly, a lot of single women, especially from the rural areas, are being lured by scammers who aren't just scammers. They are predators, and they are being used not just for the scam to try to get money, but they're being sexually assaulted. And in extreme cases, we've seen people murdered by serial killers that are using job scams as a means to lure their victims from rural areas into areas that they are not familiar with.
And Chad, we're just talking about this in another show that, with social media being unregulated, mostly unregulated, a lot of people fall victim to scams, and scammers know exactly where to go.
They do. And despite the fact that we have all this incredible legislation in place, one must understand we are the custodians of our own information.
True.
We can't blame the organizations or the platforms that we put ourselves out on. We make videos, we take pictures, we write up about everything that's going on. I do it. I'm on social media. And it's a nice way to connect with friends.
True.
And friends to connect with somebody that they haven't spoken to perhaps since school or since college or varsity. The problem is we're putting too much out there.
And I wonder what is too much. Chad, we're going to talk about that. Let's go back to the lines and take Usipo from Deep Kloof. But Usipo, ngiyabonga nsizwa ukuthi uhlale lapho layinini. Siyakwamukela ohlelweni singakusiza kanjani namhlanje?
Hi, ngiyabingelela Sis Alicia and to your guests as well.
Siyakwamukela nsizwa.
I would like to comment regarding verification of websites of which abantu aba-applyela khona imisebenzi, that maybe is there a verified website that reputable companies accept advertising the job posts from the direct company, maybe a website that maybe that is known, that is verified, that all reputable companies, they can advertise any job posts that are available, because of, I think, one of these scammers is that part of the reason that people are falling for this scam is because of ama-website lawa aba-applyela kuyo imisebenzi or ama-emails abanikeza wona, they contain a different domain name, different from the name of the company. Which mhlambe, is there maybe besides a website company, is there maybe a website that is known, that is reputable, that maybe all reputable companies, when they advertise posts, whether it's an internal post or external post that people can apply to, that maybe they can visit that website, or they only have got to go to their direct company website.
Okay, sabonga Butsipho. Ubut Martin from the Labour Department ubelana wathi eyabo uyakhona ukuthi if kuukuthi ubona ipost nje ethi lo msebenzi mhlawumbe uvela kuthini SABC, you are able to then call them directly ubabuza ukuthi ngabe le post ilokhuzile, are they able to verify i-address nama details of that post. But I mean, Nazia, maybe also just chip in, he wants to know if there's a specific avenue where you can actually verify all these online profiles and job posts.
Well, yes, one of the tools that we do provide on the YIMA platform for the consumers is a browser extension and a DNS scanner. So if you're actually receiving a particular website and you want to check to see if it's actually the legitimate site, you can paste the URL directly on the website. When you paste it, it will actually do the verification. It'll check to see if there's any suspicious activity reported on that URL, if it's perhaps blacklisted, if in fact it is the legitimate site of that particular company. In that case, you'll then be able to go confidently and say, okay, I went to the correct site, or I'm going to the correct site, before you actually enter into the site.
All right.
It prevents yourself from falling victim.
And please give us the YIMA address or access information for YIMA.
It's www.yima.org.za.
All right. And Chad, on your side, do you have any verification agencies where people can just log on and ask, is this a relevant company that is this a legitimate company that is actually posting this job ad?
Well, therein lies a massive problem. You've got what we call spoof email addresses and spoof websites that look like the legitimate organization.
True.
So one has to be very cautious at all times and look out for the warning signs. If they ask for money up front, if they ask for certain information up front, they need to be very wary. And of course, going into 2024, we've seen a massive increase in what we call deep fakes. So we're now going to see people that we think are familiar to us or people that are known to our communities coming along and posting videos stating what a good opportunity there is. Meanwhile, it doesn't exist. It's what we call a deep fake. That person's image and their voice is being manipulated
with AI,
by AI, and it's a message specifically for those that are vulnerable, and they are using this to their advantage. So we need to be very careful of who we listen to and who we trust, and we have to constantly ask questions.
So what's the proper way then of doing things, Chad? Would you then have to physically go to that company and submit your CV, the old snail mail type of scenario, or ask if they have any relevant jobs? Or, I mean, you can just go online and verify.
Look, legitimate organizations are going to ask for for certain information that they are allowed to ask for. They can't ask for personal information that cannot be processed for that particular employment. And if necessary, they're going to ask for a virtual interview if they're not going to have an in-person interview. And during that opportunity, you'll be able to very quickly pick up whether that person is legitimate or not, judging by the questions. And of course, the minute the question of you paying across any kind of administration fee, you start to realize immediately something is wrong here.
I mean, I'm looking for a job. You're already asking me to pay you up front. How does that work? Please be careful. We're going to take our final ad break. Emva kwalokho siyabuya-ke siyaligoqa uhlelo ungayindawo. It is our final segment. Unfortunately, kuzomele ngivala ama-lines Mbogeli, but thank you so much for your contributions this afternoon. I'm still with Mr. Chad Thomas of EIRS alongside Ms. Nazia Karrim of fraud prevention. So sisakhuluma Mbogeli lapho ngamalokhuzana ngama-job scams ukuthi wena if you fall in victim yiphi into ongayenza ukuthi phela uzame ukuthi uzisize. Usize nalaba abanye by not passing information yalawo ma-job scams. Just to go to your comments on Facebook here, Unhlakacele emkhazini uthi siyabonga ukuqashiswa ngoba baphelile abayihlobo zethu beqolwa sekusetshenziswa Facebook, WhatsApp group ukuthi kuqolwe abantu, basically saying thanks for this awareness as our family members have been victimized by scammers. They're using Facebook and WhatsApp groups on their scamming. Thank you so much for those contributions. So Chad, maybe talk to us. Do you think these job scams are related to specific job industries, or it's just right across the board?
It's across the board. They're looking for people that are desperate. So a lot of it is labor-intensive work or work where you wouldn't necessarily require a tertiary qualification. You'll see that a lot of the scams revolve around the South African Police Services, the South African National Defence Force. And in all of these particular scams, of course, there's an upfront fee that's asked for. But in other organizations where they're looking for people, say, for example, in the construction industry, they're using the names of well-known companies. It's very simple to go find that company online, and those companies generally have a notice board with vacancies or a section of their website dedicated towards vacancies. You can approach that company electronically and ask them whether or not they have sent out these advertisements and whether or not it's legitimate.
Chad. I mean, why don't you just call them? Because I'm sure if it's legitimate, they'll provide a number to contact there.
Very true. Look, we're dealing with massive unemployment and a lot of people that may not necessarily have the funds to stay on the line, going through switchboards, etc. It's far quicker with a data bundle to maybe email those organizations. But the most important thing is to question everything and to always be suspicious.
Now, Nazia, I mean, in closing, will we ever win this battle, or do you think, the stats will just continue to rise?
Listen, we are never going to say we're going to be able to win it 100%. And the first problem we have is many victims aren't reporting many of the incidents when they do fall victim. And that's actually making it very difficult for law enforcement to gather intelligence to actually catch the syndicates. So we can't say it's going to go away, but there are efforts that are being made to help hedge the problem.
Okay.
And in that way, hopefully, working together with the various collaborations, the various law enforcements locally and internationally, we can take down these syndicates.
And are you two in collaboration to try and combat such scams?
We are actually. We've shared the podium on a number of occasions and sat on panels, and education to us is vital. We have an X handle which is aptly named @FraudWatchZA. And if people tag us, we will then make sure that the public are aware. And the same with the South African Fraud Prevention Services. They are putting it out there through YIMA and other tools, what's happening and how people can guard themselves against this onslaught of scams.
And can people invite you to come and educate them, Nazia?
Yes, we do. We give out a full education. We actually, if everything goes as planned, we're looking to see if we can get some of the universities to do it as part of them.
All right.
I just want to give one last tip to the consumers.
Yes.
If you're applying for a job and you feel you have been scammed and maybe you don't want to come forward, at least go onto the SAFPS website and register yourself for a protective registration.
Okay.
It will actually secure your identity. In that way, they can't actually use your information to then perpetrate further fraud using your details. That will be at least minimum. But I beg and plead, please do report the incidents, either on Yuma or to the police.
Thank you so much to Ms. Nazia Karrim, the South African Fraud Prevention Services, alongside Mr. Chad Thomas, IRS Forensic Investigations. Mbukeli, that is it from our show namhlanje. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to see you next week, same time and place, right here, Kumamba Pambili, SABC 1 Mzansi, for sure. From Alicia Jali and be safe and vigilant.
Yilungelo.